Feeling a little unsettled and stressed with the way things are in our world? Experience the peace of Jesus with Finding Peace, our 5-day devotional. Visit purposely.com to sign up. Purposely. Your life, God's purpose. Listen at purposely.com.
How do you introduce yourself? If you're like me, you can tend to introduce yourself by your name and your role or your roles. Like, hi, I'm Jen, and I'm the host of the Bible for Busy People podcast. Now that that's over with, I also usually introduce myself maybe as my kid's mom, or sometimes with where I live or my age, and sometimes with things I enjoy, like running and dad jokes and sushi. What about your characteristics? What if I introduce myself to you as, I'm Jen, contemplative, intuitive, passionate, empathetic, creative, resilient, talkative once you get me going, chameleon in different circumstances, introverted with extroverted flair. What about how God introduces God's own self? He does that in Exodus 34 to Moses. In verse 5, it says, Then the Lord came down in the cloud and stood there with him and proclaimed his name, the Lord. And he passed in front of Moses, proclaiming, the Lord, the compassionate and gracious God, slow to anger, abounding in love and faithfulness, maintaining love to thousands, and forgiving wickedness, rebellion, and sin. Yet he does not leave the guilty unpunished. He punishes the children and their children for the sin of the parents to the 3rd and 4th generation. That is quite the introduction. For context, this happens the second time Moses is on Mount Sinai. The first time he went up, talked to God, made these tablets out of stone. God wrote on the tablets the law with his own finger. And then Moses went down the mountain and he found the Israelites engaging in just wild, reckless idolatry. He was so angry that he threw the tablets, like they smashed and shattered. He ground up the idol that the Israelites were worshiping, sprinkled the powder from the burnt idol in the water, and made the people drink it. Short-tempered might be a good description word for Moses. Also righteously indignant, and bold because he actually asks God to see God's face. So again, this is the second time Moses is on Mount Sinai, and this time Moses is bold enough to make that request. And God does it. He says, no one can see God's face and live, but, Moses, you can watch me as I pass by. So that's kind of what this scene is. As God passes by Moses, he introduces himself. And that's what we're going to talk about this week. If God were to wear a name tag that said, hello, my name is, these are the things that would be on it. God starts, as we would, by saying his name, Yahweh, and all of the significance that holds. We talked about this in a previous episode. You can go back and listen to it. But Yahweh means I am. Sometimes I am who I am, or I will be who I will be. And this name is honored by not being spoken aloud in the Jewish tradition. Instead, the name Adonai is used as meaning sovereign God. Our English translation says Lord, and it's sometimes pronounced Yahweh. In saying I am, God is saying that he exists beyond our limitations, before and after, always, throughout. I am means whole and complete and doesn't rely on anyone or anything outside of God's self. God is set apart from us, someone wholly different, which implies that his people, any people who he would adopt and claim as his own, would be set apart as well. God is consistent and unchanging then and now. His name is reliable, and it's part of his covenant with us. It's a promise that not only has he been consistent and unchanging and faithful, but he will continue to be. He's not introducing himself in a new way here. This is the name that he used with Abraham, with Isaac, and with Jacob. Walter C. Kaiser said, the Lord's self-disclosure is prefaced by the repetition of his name, the Lord, repeated perhaps to emphasize his unchangeableness. The Benson commentary points out the importance that this name points out God's qualities, his glory, his universality toward all people, his everlasting quality, and himself as a source of power before anything else. This is the quote right here. This is prefixed before the display of his mercy to teach us to think and to speak even of God's goodness with a holy awe, and to encourage us to depend upon these mercies. He is a good God. His greatness and goodness illustrate each other. That his greatness may not make us afraid, we are told how good he is. That we may not presume upon his goodness, we are told how great he is. Another verse that talks about God as I am is Isaiah 45, verses 5-7. It says, I am the Lord, and there is no other. Apart from me, there is no God. I will strengthen you, though you have not acknowledged me, so that from the rising of the sun to the place of its setting, people may know there is none beside me. I am the Lord, and there is no other. I form the light and create darkness. I bring prosperity and create disaster. I, the Lord, do all these things. Leviticus 18, verses 1-5 reminds us that God is holy, and we are holy as we submit to his will, authority, and boundaries. Verse 1 says, The Lord said to Moses, Speak to the Israelites and say to them, I am the Lord your God. You must not do as they do in Egypt, where you used to live, and you must not do as they do in the land of Canaan, where I am bringing you. Do not follow their practices. You must obey my laws and be careful to follow my decrees. I am the Lord your God. Keep my decrees and laws, for the person who obeys them will live by them. I am the Lord. And you just see here how I am the Lord your God is the reason why. And also I am the Lord your God is the promise. It's the reason why we obey, but it's also the promise that things will go well with us when we do. Take time to reflect on God today. All the ways that God is worthy of glory, honor, and admiration, and also all the ways that God fulfills his promises to us. God is faithful. God is present. God is constant and consistent and unchanging, and God is set apart from us. All of these things you can remember as you think about God, and there'll be things to keep in mind as we go through the next characteristics God uses to introduce himself. Thanks for listening today, and let's talk again tomorrow. I just want to take a minute to thank our sponsor, Cannon Beach Conference Center. As a fellow busy person, I think I speak for all of us when I say we all could use a break. Cannon Beach Conference Center provides the perfect coastal backdrop for a number of refreshing, restoring, and equipping conferences. And it's also an ideal place to host your church or ministry retreat. Get more details by calling 800-745-1546 or visiting cbcc.net.
Thank you for listening to The Bible for Busy People. If you need prayer or want to go deeper in your faith, visit our show notes. Will you take a moment to share with a friend and leave a review? It helps the Bible get into even more people's minds and hearts. Find more podcasts that will recharge you at purposely.com.
Thanks for listening. We just wanted to take a minute to let you know that just like you and your family, Purposely is also part of a family, the Krista Family of Ministries. Krista helps kids and teens learn and grow in their faith at King Schools and Miracle Ranch Camp. And Krista shares Jesus with people in the poorest, most remote places through World Concern. Krista Senior Living is a community of love and care, and Krista Media is a place of hope on the radio. God is changing lives through these 5 ministries, and Krista is on mission to share the good news of Jesus. To learn more, visit krista.org.